Are you excited about it?
Well, I'm a little excited, a little nervous, you know.
Ooh, that's how it starts. And then there's the running and the screaming.
What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about one of the least talked about ideas for Jurassic Park 4 that I've always thought would have been a really cool movie. So let's go back to the early 2000s and think about what kind of environment both Hollywood and the Jurassic Park franchise was in at the time. After JP3, there was a radical change in the amount of dinosaur content that we got coming out. Dino Crisis 3 tried to give the series a Matrix sort of spin to disappointing results. Turok Evolution came and went, and even dinosaur-adjacent material like Godzilla 2 from Roland Emmerich got canceled. Jurassic Park kind of faded away when everything shifted, but there was always talk, interest, and intrigue for Part 4. Anyways, Jurassic Park 4, believe it or not, was always something people assumed would eventually be on the horizon. I know looking back, JP3 was the last movie for a long time, but up until about 2008 or so, we all kind of expected JP4 to be right around the corner. And people kind of knew that there needed to be a return to form in order to get everyone excited to see the next entry. Around this time, Steven Spielberg mentioned that a story was made for the movie that he wished was actually the plot of the third film. Rumor has it that William Monahan had drafted a script that would have been extremely different. In a very recently released book, Jurassic World: The Ultimate Visual History, Joe Johnston stated that, quote, "There was a little discussion about JP4 departing from the model of the first three and being about a semi-intelligent human-dinosaur hybrid that escapes from a lab and wreaks havoc in an urban environment," with Jack Horner further stating that the idea really was to integrate some kind of genetically modified dinosaur into the script. That's when that all started. And this was all the way back when the ideas for the movie first started to be brainstormed in 2002. In an interview from January of 2003, Goldblum was asked about the rumors for Jurassic Park 4 and said, "I caught up with Steven not too long ago and he explained the idea he's developing for a new film. He was very excited and enthusiastic about it. And I have to admit, I was instantly taken with his vision for the movie. Completely ingenious and totally wonderful. It put such a clever spin on the whole thing, while at the same time returning to the scientific intrigue and fascination of the first film. Steven gave me strict instructions to stay available, because it's not entirely impossible that the services of my character will be required," which sounds pretty promising from Jeff Goldblum himself. In fact, later on in July of 2003, Sam Neill confirmed that he was set to return for Jurassic Park 4 too, saying he was excited about the project with, quote, "I don't like to count my chickens before they hatch, but I think this will exceed expectations. I'm looking forward to it, actually." Now at this point, interestingly, we didn't hear anything, and I mean anything, about any human dinosaur hybrid Frankenstein monster guy escaping from an InGen lab and running into a city. What we did hear may have included that single idea somewhere in the story, but it was admittedly very different. Set 12 years after the original Jurassic Park, people now seem to not really believe that dinosaurs were ever even created. I know a lot of people saw the T-Rex rampage through San Diego, and Hammond even made a statement on TV, but I guess people just treat InGen's claims as if they're a bunch of over-exaggerated garbage. Unfortunately, some unidentified lizards are showing up on the Costa Rican mainland, and an idea that sounds like it takes some cues from the Klayton novels and the abandoned mainland plot of Suspicious Killings from the original scripts for Jurassic Park 3. Both Doctors Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm are back with a team of experts trying to figure out what's going on, and it turns out that they need to find a way to stop the dinosaurs that have started to overpopulate Isla Sorna with uncontrolled breeding and spill out onto the mainland. They're taking up territories around the neighboring islands, and if left unchecked, could create a sort of ecological disaster. Now, the fact that Spielberg wished this was the plot for the third movie isn't really too big of a surprise, since the end of The Lost World was originally what he had in mind for all of Jurassic Park 3 before he tried to beat Mighty Joe Young and Godzilla to the punch in '98. Still, I think the inclusion of both Dr. Grant and Dr. Malcolm back in a film, after already leading their own movies, was a really cool approach. I think a lot of people would have enjoyed that. And with the the idea of dinosaurs pouring out onto the mainland and causing all kinds of chaos, I really think that it would make the end of Jurassic Park 3, where the pteranodons fly off into the clouds, way more meaningful. You know, kind of like a setup and payoff for the next film and what's about to happen. But still, no mention of the dinosaur man, like, at all. So what was that? Was this guy even a part of this version of the script? Because if he was, it doesn't look like it was the main story point at all, unless it was some kind of twist of a reveal at the end or something. It kind of seems like from this plot line alone, this was much more of a logical continuation of the other Jurassic Park films we'd seen before. Now, one of the most interesting things that we would hear in the movie news media back in the day had to be the inclusion of two other actors that were in talks for Jurassic Park 4. Richard Attenborough, the legendary actor who portrayed Dr. John Hammond in Jurassic Park and The Lost World, was very excited to return. And after being asked to return by Spielberg himself, he was ready to get back in the saddle to give the sequel that added level of gravitas he always brings. But another inclusion was super cool because it would have been really modern around this time. Believe it or not, Keira Knightley was reported as being in talks to co-star in Jurassic Park 4 back when she'd made a solid name for herself in Pirates of the Caribbean. And look, she'd already been in other big movies. I mean, she was the decoy queen in The Phantom Menace, so getting her in a Jurassic Park movie, it just made a lot of sense. At the time, people were theorizing that she would play Lex Murphy instead of Ariana Richards, you know, from the first two Jurassic Parks, and then an official interview with the actress confirmed her involvement with the film. Quote, "It's true, I didn't think anybody knew about that. It was so amazing because I've been a big fan of the original film for years. Steven said he liked my work in Bend It Like Beckham and wanted to meet me. I think Sam Neill really pushed for me as well because we had worked together before on Dr. Zhivago. There were actually two roles in Jurassic Park 4 Steven thought I might fit. First, there was the granddaughter part, which wasn't all that big a role. She was only in it at the beginning. The other part he was considering for me was substantially larger, but I won't go into any details in case I make Steven angry. She later went on to say that she didn't truly know if she would get the part or not. The script was pretty much locked down, but they were still making some final adjustments here and there. In April of 2003, Stan Winston talked about the new movie in an interview about the new dinosaurs, saying, quote, "From a creature standpoint, we're going beyond what we have done in the first three films. For example, there will be motors inside of the raptors this time, which gives you a more direct relationship of point of movement to point of control. We have so much now in our knowledge bank of what we can do live with animatronics and how much we can do with digital animation. My goal on Jurassic Park 4 is to show the audience something that hasn't been seen before, or what's been seen before, but in a different way. Raise the bar and do it in ways that people have not seen. All I can say at this stage is that it's extremely exciting. Expect to see many new dinosaurs, as well as some old favorites from the last three movies. There are also several previously unfilmed scenes from Michael Crichton's novels, which Steven is looking to adapt, plus a whole bunch of really creative new stuff. It's all coming together to create what should be a remarkable cinematic experience. If you thought we sent the world into Dinomania back in 1993, you ain't seen nothing yet. If dinosaurs are big now, they're going to be huge come 2005. Now look guys, that is an extremely enthusiastic bit of language coming from Stan. I mean, he's really into it. They were, in 2003, they were on locked in for Jurassic Park 4, but as we all know, things change. So Keira Knightley is said to have auditioned for the role, but we also got a rumor that the movie would be pushed back to a winter 2005 release. Then we got another rumor that Keira Knightley's character had actually been written out. Alex Proyas, the director of The Crow, was rumored to direct the movie, but later made a statement that he was very uninterested in doing Jurassic Park 4. Some new information had come out since then that sounded like the movie was undergoing changes. William Monahan left to work on Kingdom of Heaven, and it looked like Alan Grant was removed from the movie entirely. But Ian Malcolm and John Hammond were still in. And get this, the Spinosaurus was back alongside some velociraptors, and the focus was going to be on a lot of marine reptiles. Also, get this, after being asked about a strange idea over whether humans evolved from dinosaurs instead of mammals, Jack Horner, the paleontological advisor on the original Jurassic Park movies, stated, "Keep thinking about that, and in a couple of years, go see Jurassic Park 4. So it looks like that germ of an idea still persisted at this later stage in the script development, which is weird, man. But just one more piece of news came out about the project that I think is going to be really interesting to a lot of you. It turns out that this movie was going to be undergoing rewrites by none other than John Sayles. And we all know what eventually came from from that. So suffice it to say that this is a little piece of Jurassic Park history that I think a lot of people will find super interesting. Jurassic Park 4 in this particular state was really cool, and it was something that I think still had Joe Johnston at least somewhat involved at times. The idea of Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm leading a team of experts to find out what was going on outside of the island was really fun, and it kind of has the shade of Michael Crichton inspiration in both the aberrant forms and dead compy arrivals from the novels. But it gets taken into overdrive with the dinosaurs breeding out of control and showing up in mainland Costa Rica. I think the idea of the Spinosaurus and new marine life showing up is equally cool, but I do wish we had at least one mention of the T-Rex. It looks like once John Sayles got a hold of things, the direction was pushed away from dinosaurs escaping the island and causing issues on the mainland, even though that is still a thing at the beginning of that draft. And the script he wrote was like more immediately turning the movie into an operation where the Grendel Corporation is breeding mutant raptors that take down terrorists with the help of a proto-Owen Grady sort of character. Keira Knightley and John Hammond showing up in Jurassic Park 4 for this earlier draft sounds really cool to me, and I think Hammond's idea to create a Judas strain from Nedry's cryocan in order to stop the dinosaurs from overpopulating like in the John Sayles script, that may have been an evolution of how they were trying to stop the animals in this earlier incarnation. It's hard to tell without the script in hand. Still no word on whether or not Nublar or the Barbasol can would have even showed up in the earlier version, so who knows. Now I gotta say, I think had this version of the movie come out in the mid-2000s, it would have helped make Jurassic Park way more interesting and fun a decade before Jurassic World. But John Sayles' rewrite ultimately changed the game entirely, and those ideas eventually did pour into the Jurassic World trilogy in little bits and pieces. But even if the movie included a scene with that mutant dinosaur man, which we already had seen teased in the Halloween Horror Nights Jurassic Park Scare Zone, Project Evolution from 2002 if you didn't know. Even if they had that dino-human hybrid man in the movie, I gotta be real, I think it would have gone over kind of okay in 2005. I mean, sure, it would have been wild and zany, but it's also paired with all of this other really cool stuff with dinosaurs, Keira Knightley, Alan Grant, Ian Malcolm, John Hammond, and advanced animatronic effects by Stan Winston. It doesn't look like the movie was all about the bad guys from Turok 2. Instead, it was just kind of like, we've got this one dino man that escaped a lab, and the main film is actually about the normal dinosaurs and them escaping onto the mainland. But then again, we don't even know if these two things were like connected. The Dino Man may not even be in this early script, which itself, in my opinion, sounds pretty cool. In the end, the idea was to move away from all of that and focus on the dinosaur raptor mutants from the John Sayles draft, and we never got to see Goldblum, Neil, or anyone else attached in this original version. I gotta say, I really do kind of wish this movie got made. I don't really know how it would have turned out, but man, like, I think it would have been fun back in the day. Imagine this sequel up against Peter Jackson's King Kong in 2005. It would have been the clash of the dinosaur movies back then. But anyways, those are all just my own thoughts and opinions on this abandoned sequel, this abandoned idea for Jurassic Park 4 before the John Sayles stuff, before the dino-human hybrid like concept art leaked and all that sort of information. This movie almost got made. Like, they were auditioning roles. Spielberg called Attenborough, Sam Neill, and Goldblum and said, stay available. It's like Stan Winston was already thinking of ideas to make the Raptors more advanced. We never got to see it. So whatever your own thoughts and opinions on this abandoned idea for Jurassic Park 4 happen to be, please let me know. I would love to hear all about them, guys, in the comments down below. Now, before I go, I want to thank everyone that's helped me build my channel over the years. I'd also like to thank every one of you guys who've watched my stuff. You've all been extremely cool to me. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and hope that you'll consider subscribing. God bless you all. Christ is King. See you guys in the next video, and as always, take it easy.